course you need carbohydrates. Women need more carbohydrates than men. When women try to go low carb, they develop thyroid issues, right? When people go keto for a long enough time, like it might work for a little while, but when it's a long enough time, chances are that the fiber content is not going to be enough, and then you're going to muck up your microbiome for life.
So how did you, I met you, I think, after your fourth one, right, Cheryl? So how did you drop weight so quickly? I think many women will want to know this, right?
I guess it's a funny one. I mean, some people might say, oh, you're blessed with the good genes and whatnot, but I have been yo-yoing weight in the past. I have been a binge eater. I've had bulimia. So when you are like kind of undernourished, and then you wish to undernourish yourself even more, like starve or eat the shit foods and have no idea about nutrition, then you're just going about it the complete opposite way when actually you're supposed to be nourished. So I think it starts in the mind first, about nourishing yourself with like nutrient dense foods. So they're not calorie dense, they're nutrient dense, like an egg yolk. Or sardines. If you take an egg yolk and some sardines and some oysters, you only need to eat once a week, probably. But those are the things that are gonna nourish you because all your nutrients are needed. Of course, you need carbohydrates. Women need more carbohydrates than men. When women try to go low carb, they develop thyroid issues, right? When people go keto for a long enough time, like it might work for a little while, but when it's a long enough time, chances are that the fiber content is not going to be enough, and then you're going to muck up your microbiome for life, right? So there are some things that, I just kind of want to alert people to and like not go down the path of. But how did I return to my weight? I mean, again, from the days of being bloated and all, working on the health and being more aware of these things, which also means that your body just naturally, you get back to your natural state. And your natural state is this what people call bouncing back to your weight, but that's a natural thing that your body just does now. It's not something I thought about. Right. The human body is beautiful and natural, and it will just expand and contract. And, when you're doing well, you're not going to feel bloated. You're going to feel like you're the right weight for yourself, whatever that weight is. You're going to feel strong and healthy and whatever. So that's our natural state. So the perspective of me is like, let's listen to our body, because your body will know how to get to natural state. You don't have to worry about the weight loss. Your body will worry about the weight loss for you. But you learn first the skill of taking care of your body, because a lot of us don't know that skill. A lot of us who've got to the point of burnout, which I did 3 times, a lot of us who've got to the stage of, depression, anxiety, a lot of us who've got to the stage of like self-sabotage or whatever the rest of it is, have never learned that skill of how to actually take care of your body. Maybe we haven't seen it in the culture of eating nutrient dense. It's been stripped out of our culture. It's been so much of people telling you that we're not good enough and you don't deserve stuff, right? It's so much of all the mental stuff that creates, and then the diet culture. That's big because that got big in the 80s, I believe. And the diet culture is like there's this massive hangover effect of the diet culture that people are like trying to deprive themselves in order to lose weight. Completely, actually, you have to go completely at it the different way. You have to nourish yourself and look at your body and give your body what it needs. It knows how to lose weight. It's not going to hang on and freeze if you're not trying to beat it up all the time. Yeah. So the cortisol issue and the stress issue is really, really huge, because once you're cortisol dominant, you're never going to lose weight. Never. It's going to direct what your thyroid does. It's going to direct your metabolism. It's going to direct your womanly hormones. It's going to direct your metabolism. It's going to get you sugar dependent, the whole cortisol dominant state. Never going to lose weight. It's just basically going to be these people who like keep starving themselves and creating more cortisol dominance, because the starvation is a stressor. And then you get that cortisol just running the show,
Can you share more about, I think many people listening may not know about the cortisol effect. So can you explain a little bit?
Oh my God, that's like big. It's like that is big because people and women are saying, hey, my thyroid is underperforming. Hey, my womanly hormones are out of whack. I am having irregular periods. They're very heavy, and I get very stressed around the PMS and can't sleep well. And I'm bloated, I'm water retaining, right? Water retention and all that. And then they go to the specialists, and the specialists offer them hormones, the specialists offer them thyroid medication. And well, when actually the big picture is like this person is shooting cortisol out their eyeballs because of the way they're waking up, their 9 to 5 life, the way their boss is, the situations in work that they put themselves in, right?
Yeah.
That I have put myself in before, like I've chosen and said yes to these situations. And then it's like, I now need the adrenaline to even get out of bed because I wasn't even truly motivated for this job. So I need that cortisol to shoot out. I need that adrenaline to shoot out, and I become dependent on it. Cortisol is wonderful, a wonderful like natural adaptation for us to be able to like respond to acute emergencies in a bear fight, to stop everything else and shut down your digestion and shut down your metabolism and shut down the everything else and the reproduction and fight that bear. It's so smart. But the thing is, for us, the modern day bear is going to be a deadline or catching the bus or getting your kids ready for school and, not falling short of an expectation. And so we're fighting this bear all the time. And what happens is that the body gets dependent on this cortisol. Your cortisol is shooting out sugar for you to use to fight. So then your body's going to get used to this sugar rise and crash, rise and crash, rise and crash. So, I mean, it's a really, really long story how like cortisol can really muck up your metabolism and put a halt to any weight loss process. So for me, it's like, I'm not gonna mess around with anything else, but this nervous system needs calming down. So I got a 6-step system. The first step is, well, who am I to tell you to buck up and listen to what I say when you have zero energy? So the first step is we're going to replenish your nutrients because you're a dying plant. We need to water you, put some sunshine, some nutrients, put the, like repot, put some soil in. Get this plant like kind of awake, listening, and then aware and awakened and realizing like, oh yeah, what am I doing? All this stress. So we're going to manage the nervous system as well, step 2. And then in step 3, we'll go into the liver work because the liver is most of the time very sluggish and blocked up before we move on to the gut work. And then it's going to be any kind of fine tuning at the end, like any dietary restrictions that we need to follow, any elimination diets that we need to follow. And these are usually the 30% of cases because 70% of cases will get sorted out in the first few steps. The body, the leaky gut will begin to heal up. All the multiple allergies and the food sensitivities will begin to heal up. So by that stage, the efficient and lazy way of doing things is like, let's just give the body what it needs. I know the body's going to heal up because you don't have a gut issue. Your gut just needs support. Your thyroid's not broken. It needs iodine. Give it the iodine, it'll start kicking out, working again. The gland's not broken. Most of the time. So by that point, there's not so much food to eliminate. By that point, there's not so much gut work to do. And by that point, I usually don't even do a gut test to fix things. $2,000, I mean, inefficient spend of money. So where was I going to the cortisol thing? Yeah, I mean, there is just, I mean, I hope that the first description was kind of like effective enough for you to realize, like, for as long as things are stress driven, and even if it's not mental stress, right, it can be hidden, unperceived stress. A lot of us don't perceive that we're stressed. We're like very happy, and we kind of maybe don't even want to admit that we're stressed because it's a kind of admission to failure for some people. But for as long as you have any kind of diagnosis, like if you've got PCOS going, but you're the most chill person on earth, there is a stress thing going on in the body is stressed because the body is not in perfect function. Your mind might be like, I'm happy, and I am, in great, I enjoy my relationships, I think positive, and my spiritual life is okay and everything. But the body is already, so that is that unidentified inflammatory process that's going on, and that your body is keeping under wraps so that you don't actually feel too bad.
Yeah.
But that is bodily stress.
Yeah, I know too many women who over exercise because they want to lose weight, but because the cortisol levels are so high, they put on more weight, and they eat less, they exercise more, but they're still not losing weight, right? They're not hitting the right, and they don't know that actually is the cortisol levels that is not allowing them to lose weight. So that part is really not addressed.
It's so hard, right? I mean, Alina, maybe you see this as well, because one thing for one person is not the same for the other. So you gotta like speak to someone and know like, okay, what kind of, because exercise and movement is definitely essential, but it's like, okay, what kind of movement for this person is going to be a calming, nourishing activity versus one that is like done in a oh, I had a binge yesterday, I'm gonna punish myself by running a 10K now kind of thing. That's not, so yeah, I mean, when I was seeing more younger women, I was taking people off their HIIT routines. I was like, stop it, right now. Now I'm a bit more balanced because I'm meeting more of the 40 to 50-year-olds and onwards, and these people do much better with weight training and moderate weight training. So I'd say, hey, if you're doing lots of cardio, maybe you want to like cut down the cardio and do more weights, because that's going to improve the insulin sensitivity and the whole metabolic picture. And it's also going to improve your bone density and get you invest into your mobility when you're 90. So kind of like that's different, 40 onwards are kind of like, okay, weights.
Yeah.
Weights need to come in, and it doesn't have to be heavy lifting, moderate intensity.
Kettlebell.
Kettlebell?
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I haven't lifted in a kettlebell in a long time, but yeah, I used to.
Yeah.
I've got my weight training in.
Do you do kettlebell in group trainings, Alina?
No. It's all individual personalized training. So I teach my clients about the metabolism first. So I teach them about how when we were young, our metabolic rate was quicker. And as we age, it starts to deteriorate. And then so when we slow our eating down, that's like putting a handbrake on even more. And then so as they get older, the metabolism is getting less and less, and then by not eating is making it even harder. So then when they do their cardio workout, I explain to them how the metabolism is working. So I try to explain to them what's going on with their body. So I take it away from them as nothing, that it's not their fault, it's just this is what's happening in their body. So I would use just a hypothetical, and I said, if you were doing just a cardio workout, your metabolism will probably last, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours, after your workout, as opposed to cardio workout, as opposed to a weights workout, that can take anywhere from 24 to 36 hours. It's constantly working. And I said, and I'd always use, it depends on the person, it's just such a,
you have to kind of like get your language across.
And if it's a man or a woman, but I try and identify their situation and use myself as an example. And I would say, well, that goes back into the days when we've had babies, like breastfeeding and bottle feeding. Breastfeeding, there's so much work going on because you don't know what they're getting, and you're querying all this, but whereas bottle feeding, you can see exactly what's, the baby's having. So then it's the same as like when with your body, you don't know what's going on after you've done your workout. So I would obviously, if their goal is weight loss, I would obviously address their nutrition first, and then their exercise and the style that they would do. So they would do sort of shorter amount of, depends where the metabolism is at, but they would do, say, 2 30-minute workouts, sort of like at a higher intensity. But a high intensity for someone is so different, for somebody else. And I explained to them, how to do it. They don't have to go smashing their body, but if they've not moved before, they're going to feel smashed anyway. But then also I really encourage the weights because that builds your lean muscle. And when you've got your lean muscle, that burns your calories. And then when you eat properly, that helps, accelerate the results, which then is, it's the flow-on effect. And they start going, oh, now I understand. And then so when I say to them, it's not you, it's just your body. And they go, oh, because then it takes away that failure, a failure all the time. They're doing all the right things and they're working really hard. They're just going about it the wrong way. That's not really going to get them the result that they're after. And then, with the cortisol, depends on what's going on in their life. I always talk about having a place where they can just go for a leisure walk or a swim or just something that I just say it's not a huff and puff, that they need to stop and smell the roses. They need to let the cortisol levels down because every time they're working out, they're producing their cortisol as well. Yeah. So the body has to learn how to get rid of it. And I said, it's like walking around with your finger in a PowerPoint all the time. You're constantly wired, and, your body's not going to release anything. If it's constantly in the PowerPoint, it's got to learn how to come down. And they go, okay, now I understand, because I think they've got to work out every single day. And I explain how every time they lose weight, it's through the cardio, through the wrong way. They're depleting and eating into their lean muscle mass, which makes it even harder again. So if they've lost, say, hypothetically, just to keep it even, if they're 50 kilos and they've lost 5 kilos, so they're 45. I know that's not a healthy weight. I'm just using numbers. And so they put the weight back on because it's not sustainable. So the lean muscle is still 45, but the scale weight's 50. So when they go to lose that they lose that same 5 kilos again. So back to, say, the 45 kilo on the scale weight, they've depleted their lean muscle. That's now 40. So it gets less and less and less. It's not to those extremes, but that's to give you an example. So that makes it even harder again to lose body weight. So you want to preserve the lean muscle.
The long game. Can we look at the long game, please? That's like gonna prevent you from ever coming back again, kind of a thing. I'll say one thing though. Menopause age, and I've been thinking about that as well because I'm 41 now. It's also been proven that postmenopausal women and menopausing women do better with higher fat levels in their body, higher fat percentage. So is there also an element of not embracing the bodily changes that need to happen in order that we preserve our health? And that is a funny thing worth contemplating, because are we resisting? Are we trying to get back to our old selves when actually we need to graduate to a different stage in life? And that also means looking different.
Yeah.
And is that something that we want to start embracing? Because if in the studies it shows that we need to be a bigger weight so that your hormones, you see, like the ovaries are producing your progesterone and estrogen. As they begin to retire from 40, 45, let's say, it's the fat that's going to provide the raw material for the manufacture of these two hormones as well. So as there's fat, and your ovaries are starting to shut down, the fat is going to buffer that shutting down, and the kind of decline in hormones is going to be much more gradual. You're not going to get big falls of it as much, So that really changed my perspective again, and was a big shift as to like, hey, is this something that we need to embrace here? Because there are a lot of strong women out there that look not Instagrammable shape, right? But they're strong and they're amazing and they're going to live long lives. And that is true resilience. Rather than looking Instagrammable at 50 or 60 and then dying at 70, like people are now expected to die at 90, So I don't know. I mean, and I'm thinking now in my mind, I have these pictures of like the Nonna mamas in Italy, and they're all like living long lives, happy lives, and just being there for the grandchildren and all that, like ideal picture, right? And they're strong. They're strong. They're not like bumbling around. They're still like walking about and doing their activities and going to the square and going to church and whatever not. They just are a different shape, and that's just how it is. And that's actually healthy for them. How about that?
I completely agree. I mean, I'm almost 56, right? So my body is, definitely has changed. And every month I look at, I do a self check-in, like how am I comfortable with my body now? Because my body is definitely different from like 20 years ago, right? And so I look at myself and said, you know what, I'm quite comfortable, right? I mean, we have, like you lose muscles, like your cheeks start to sag, and you look at yourself differently, like you have all these lines on your neck, and I say, you know what, I'm okay with that. I feel like I have an opportunity to graduate into a new body. Many people don't get to do that. Many people don't get to live till enter their 50s, right? Or 60s and 70s and so on. And I watch people around me, maybe in their late 40s and 50s, they struggle so much with their bodies. They want to get back the body they had when they were 20. It's not possible, right? And they gripe about their weight around their waist, around their hip, but it's not a bad thing.
It is like sort of we're not accepting the growth that comes with this second half of life. There is actually a maturation process, I realize, that many people, and in our culture as well, because of the fear of death, we resist. So a lot of women are like sort of, maidens and then mothering and all that, but never go into like the wisdom years in the same way. Like resisting the wisdom years. Like when we're menopausing, that is like, again, the ceremonies will help. There are no ceremonies left out in our culture, right? The ceremony of like, hey, you're now like the wise woman. Like you are here to impart wisdom. You have a great value. Nobody's looking at your body now anymore. Like, don't like move on from that whole idea. Now, like you are the wisdom woman, right? And so that process and that graduation and the maturation is something that people have forgotten, and they don't know what's on the other side because maybe there's a devaluation on what is on the other side, and people just want to remain the maiden. And it's like, hey, that's immature. You gotta grow up, like, like, that helps me. That helps me because postnatal as well. I'm like, what the heck is this body? I don't recognize it, right?
I think I'm just speaking on behalf of my clients, right? And I know I've had plenty of conversations with women to accept the body and love their body through all the changes, which I totally agree. But there's a little form of unrealism, I don't know if that's a word, but where they're unrealistic anyway, because they want to get back into, they want to lose their weight. They want to feel better. They know they can't be the size of what they used to be when they were younger, but they know they can't continue with the way that they are. And by just accepting the way that their shape is, and that's good, but then also they can't be in denial of what they put in their mouth.
Oh, yeah.
and also the biggest thing here is, like, particularly in Australia, is the drinking culture. And the wine. And I tell you what, that's the first thing that goes to the stomach. So all these women I know, because I deal with them, I've had 20 years of training them. And particularly now, like I'm 55 very soon. I hit menopause at 40. But, these women are going through all these different changes. They're still, when we're talking about cortisol levels, still really high. They're drinking. Some of them will drink at least a bottle of wine a night. When they come home, because they go, because I'd always do a consult with them, and I'd go through, what are you eating, what do you eat for breakfast? First of all, what time do you wake up? What do you eat for breakfast? What do you have for morning tea? Some people call it whatever the next meal is, so I just say morning tea. What do you have for lunch? What do you have for afternoon tea? What do you have for dinner? Do you have any dessert? Like, I'm not there to judge. I just want to know what they're eating and how often. And then when it comes to the wine, and they go, that's where I come undone. And I went, okay, so that's right. I'm not here to judge. How much do you think, what are you having? And they'll go, probably overall. By the time I get home, I'll have a glass or one, or maybe 1 or 2 glasses as I'm cooking dinner, and maybe 1 or 2, when I get home. So about 3 or 4 glasses of wine. And I go, so about a bottle then? And they go, yeah. and it's just to show, that reflection about, well, this is what's happening, and so, we do address that over a period of time, but a lot of people just survive on, the alcohol consumption is really high. They don't eat much, but they expect they still want to, get back into the shape that they were in, No wonder they start to feel good when they just start to eat better.
I think alcohol is a big one I used to work in the UK as well, and it's even I was like sort of like, oh yeah, maybe I should also drink with my food kind of a thing. And it's like it can really spiral when things are stressful and you realize that the alcohol was actually helping you to numb some stuff out, and then it just carries on and carries on and carries on,
It's such a habit. So I try to fix all that first within moderation so they can still go out and do all these things, but not just change it, because obviously what they're doing is not working for them. And that's what I would say. Obviously it's not working for you, or you wouldn't be talking to me. And they'd go, so true. So then we just then make just small little starts.
Does it get tricky when that's been like a coping memechanism?
It depends on because you're such a big individual, so a lot of psychology stuff starts to come in. It's never about just lifting weights and anything like that. There's a lot more to it, and you deal with abuse, you deal with lots of different things, so it's not a one size fits all. It's such an individual thing, as you would know, but you'll just have a generalized thing. And same as like Shamala, when you asked about kettlebells, do I do them in the group fitness? I don't in the cardio one, because I've got a beach and it's right at the front. I mean, before in the gym, if it's a 30-minute thing, we'd have all forms of equipment. But when we've got the beach, we don't need the equipment. I just keep all that for the strength training and just use nature. So that's otherwise, I would have to run my own equipment. But I just try and keep that separate. So when people sort of take a look at, they want to feel better, but they need to look at what they're putting in their mouth as well, whether it be in the form of, food and alcohol, and then, making some small changes. And then, look, I know when I have lollies or anything like that, the way it changes me is incredible, and then it will make me want to have more sugar. So then I become addicted to the sugar because I like the taste. And the next minute I've skipped a meal because I eat quite regularly because I'm not really hungry, because I've snacked on something, and because I've not eaten properly, I'm all bloated. And I would go, God, no wonder my clients feel like crap.
It spirals out.
No wonder they feel really good when they start to make these small little changes.
But like I want to point out, right? Like even with someone who's in the know, I mean, I guess my job is just to like, fix the knowledge gap, but with the understanding, and we guide people and all that. Anyway, as people in the know, do you also sometimes find that you do these things anyway?
Of course.
Like, let's just try.
When I eat lollies. I eat lollies. Shamala asked me, well, what's your bonus foods? And I went, I don't really have any. Like, I don't, cheat foods, I think we were talking about one time.
My bonus foods now have become like, hey, I really, really want to go out for ramen and eat oysters and have a steak. And I'm going to eat the anchovy. I'm going to go to the buffet and I'm going to go for the high density foods. And I'm going to eat all these. And I feel so good after that. But at some point it wasn't that way, because my brain was like the wiring. It's a while, right?
And also, and the time, people are so short on time. So it's always that quick fix, when I'm down at the supermarket, I've got a whole thing of all, fresh produce or, whatever it is. And everything is just all convenient food, or, they've forgotten how to, make a meal from scratch. It doesn't have to be anything flash, but we're just so hard on ourselves. So everyone wants it there and then, and they're comparing it with something that's really unrealistic, and then, but just keeping things really simple, and eradicating, swapping things for better choices or habits, and then sort of going from there.
That's the perspective, because there's so much balancing about in Instagram and stuff, and to focus on the things that don't shift the needle at all. So that's why you're about, and that's why we do the work that we do, because it's like we can look at it and be like, that's not going to shift the needle. You drink whatever. Here's what we want to spend our time looking at. Let's go in, So I think that's the wonder of having a coach. Because like if I had a problem, I would want someone who's on the outside looking in as well and being able to tell me like, oh, to understand the entire picture as wholly and as fully as possible and be like, this is where you need to make the change. Not there, not there, not where you're getting your panties in a bunch about, but there.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, then. And usually that's an area that I've been avoiding.
This has been a wonderful conversation. And unfortunately, we are running out of time, but we'll definitely want to have you back, Cheryl.
I will be happy to.
Yeah. Let us know when you are available again. And I think that, people will want to learn more from you, right? People who are watching this, do comment below and let us know what you would like to learn from Dr. Cheryl Kam, and we will have her back and we'll address all of those questions. We'll be happy to have her here with us. And would you like to plug in anything, Cheryl?
If you're not already on your holy grail magnesium, why not? That is the number one place to start. I will I'll say that. Like, don't even be like, oh, what's the best multivitamin to use? What should I do? This and that. Go on your magnesium, take it at night, get chill, sleep well. A lot of your problems going to get fixed, and then you go tweak up the rest of it. Like your body will know what to do. It's just that with 90% of us are short of the magnesium, just take the magnesium for the minute, heal up the body. Yeah.
Thank you. And Alina?
First step.
Oh, I've got nothing. It's been great talking to you, Cheryl. Like it's just
lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you can never learn enough. I've always said the more I learn, the more I don't know. And I think it's great that you can help share your expertise to a lot of women out there who are trying, and men who are trying really hard to make these changes, and they need people more like you to help simplify things.
Well, thank you everyone. Thank you, and this is Midlifers signing out. Bye bye.
I love it.